Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Dale Barzy. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. And today I have the very great pleasure of welcoming Aghogho Wanogho out of the United Kingdom. Aghogho is a recent grad. She says she has a passion for primary care and she's dedicated to promoting health equity and reducing disparities. So, welcome, 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 Aghogho.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So, firstly, my usual question, what led you to nursing?
Okay, so unfortunately, I lost my husband to cancer in 2019. And I saw so many things there that were really shocking. So I could definitely see the health disparities within the Black community. And what also intrigued me is that he was going to the GP for many, many years and complaining about pain, but his pain was just being dismissed. He was just being ignored. And I thought, you know what, I don't want another person to have to go through that. But then also on the other side, he spent a lot of time in St. Christopher's Hospital, hospice, and the hospice nurses were absolutely, they were incredible. And I thought, you know what, I'd love to be in that position to do that for someone else as well. So yes, there's the kind of not so good and kind of that kind of empowerment that I got from, the hospice nurses that thought, you know what, let me do this. And funny enough, my late husband used to joke about me being a nurse. So it's really funny that I actually end up becoming a nurse. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow, wow. So, that brings up, but I think maybe I'll ask that question later. But so, what would you say then? You're a recent grad. What was you said was the biggest challenge between being in nursing school, being a nursing
mm.
student, and adjusting to being a graduate nurse?
Yes. I mean, so in the UK, unfortunately, there's a few issues happening in terms of job vacancies. So that's been one of my challenges at the moment, actually finding my first, patient-facing jobs. That's been a real challenge for me. And to be honest, it has consumed me quite a bit. So that's the main challenge. I mean, I can't really talk about how, actually being in practice compared to being a student.
Mm.
But yeah, so in terms of that, and that's why I've kind of had to do my own thing, put myself out there and kind of just, work on that. So yeah, that's my challenge right now, looking for my first patient-facing job. Yeah.
Okay. So you said you're doing your own thing, like what?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously I was telling you about my story and how I came into nursing.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do now is I teach cultural competency in nursing, in nursing education. And then I do also a lot of clinical simulations. So I also kind of, put a bit of that in there. So for example, I did like a session on breaking bad news. So I'll then talk about how will culture impact how you deliver those bad news. So for example, in some families, they like it when all the families there when you give the bad news. The way you come across, whether you're direct or not so direct. So it depends, it's about understanding people's culture, and that will definitely impact the way in which you are going to deliver, your bad news. So yeah, but I absolutely love it because it really brings up some very deep conversations with the students. And I'm to be honest, I'm really overwhelmed by how everyone's receiving it. So I mean, the last one that I did, it was absolutely amazing. I mixed it with compassionate communication and cultural competency, and actually how in some cultures compassion looks different to what you may think compassion is. So so that's what I'm doing at the moment. And then, working on my platform, getting it officially registered. And then obviously I want to work more with the Black community, really educating them on health. Let's be honest, in the Black community, there's certain conversations we don't have when it comes to health. So, that's kind of like what I really want to do. And then, and empower them to also, advocate for themselves. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on at the moment, which is super exciting because I just feel like I get to do my own thing. I get to be my authentic self, which is what I really like. I don't like to be put in a box. So that's what I'm really enjoying about that at the moment. So yeah, it's super cool.
This is what nursing does for you. It
Yeah,
gives you
yeah,
all kinds of wings to
it
just go out
does.
there and be whatever it is you want.
Honestly, and but I think maybe going back to the last point about the challenge, I think the challenge that I had is still see myself as a nurse because I'm not actually patient facing. But then, it took me a while. I can't lie. I felt like I kind of had to grieve that kind of image I had of myself of, I graduate, get my first job, and then, kind of go with it. But, being in education, you, it's amazing how much impact you make because you're now empowering the next generation of nurses. You're now giving them that fresh information that they're then going to go out and then educate the other nurses. And so it's amazing. I love it. I enjoy teaching student nurses. It's fantastic, And then also in terms of simulation, clinical simulation. So I'm very passionate about making sure that, we have scenarios. We make sure that those scenarios are diverse and they're reflective of the population that we have in the UK because it's very, very diverse, So yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah.
So this is a business that you created.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could say that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It sounds kind of
Yes,
weird saying that, but yeah, it is. Yeah, and yeah, no,
yes.
my plan is to make a huge impact because from my experience, I know what I went through. I know what my husband went through, and I don't want it to happen to anyone else. And even if I just save one life, then you know what, I've done my job. I've really done my job. And we need to start having more conversations about how the Black community are having poor outcomes. So and I think the more conversations we have, it will make a change. So I'm so passionate about it. And I think that's why also I'm passionate about primary care, because primary care is kind of like the first contact you have with the patient. And there's a lot of patient education in that. So and even when you go into the community, you see, because I wouldn't mind working in the community as well. When you go to community, you also, you get access to underserved, underrepresented population, and yeah, I love it. I do. Honestly, I don't know. I'm even though I'm not in my first patient facing job, I'm just excited for what I'm doing because I know it's gonna make impact. So yeah, watch this space.
So what's the name of this business?
Say that again.
What's the name of this business?
Okay, so it's NurseAghoghoCares. So it's actually, I put my name in there because my name means happiness.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's the platform. So yeah,
NurseAghoghoCares. All right,
cares.
we're gonna make sure this is in the description box on how to
Yeah,
find you.
brilliant.
So, but you talked about earlier on that the nurses in the hospice care really
Yeah.
inspired you. Would that, would you like that to be an area of interest you pursue?
You know what? It's funny you say that because I quite like end of life care. Because I found myself when I was on placement, I was quite drawn to end of life care patients. I don't know, maybe that's because of my experience, but I do
Hmm.
really enjoy it. And then again, culture plays a huge role in how people want the end of life care to look like.
Hmm.
Some people want there to be maybe their priest, their pastor to be there. So how can we facilitate these things for our patients to give them that good death? We talk so much
Hmm.
about a good birth, but how about a good death? And also in my community, we don't talk about death. It's not spoken about, but we're all gonna die one day. So yeah, end of life care. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying no to anything, but it is something that I wouldn't mind. So yeah,
Awesome, 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 awesome. So, and th this is probably not a question that you have experience with, but you
yeah,
must have observed. So, if there is anything in the time that you have been a nurse during your nursing education, your training, and this last year,
yeah.
what do you think you'd like to see change about nursing, if anything?
Ooh, okay. Um. I mean, in terms of more the practical side, I would say the
Hmm.
long hour
Which I know
shifts.
you have not done much of.
Yeah, but for my experience, because I've
Hmm.
got experience in the community and in the
Yeah.
hospital, but I
Yes.
feel like especially in the hospital, the long hours, it's me. I mean, I adapted to it, but the longevity to be able to do that for a long time, it's not possible. It's really not
Yeah.
possible. So, and I think also flexible working for mothers. I think that's another thing. I know so many nurses who are mothers who want to work on the wards, but they can't because then that flexible working is not there. I mean, the policies are there, but then obviously it depends on certain things, if you know what I mean, whether
Yeah.
it is actually implemented. So, and then also I want nurses to understand who they are. We're not just nurses. we get to know our patients. We are there in the most vulnerable moments in our patients, journey when we see them. You know,
Hmm.
I have all respect to doctors, but they don't see what we see. So when I hear a nurse saying, "Oh, I'm just a nurse," you're not just a nurse.
There's no
We're,
such word as just.
yeah, we're critical thinkers, we're compassionate, and we do all these things as well as providing care for our patients. We do all these within a 12-hour shift, or if you do half a shift, we do all these things. So, and I, I want nurses to say, we can do more, like write journals, put yourself out there. It's not just there's nothing wrong with being at the bedside, but see your nursing career just more than just that. There's so much more impact, that you can make. I mean, we have so many skills. Even as just a student, you're not just a student nurse. You are also a part of the team. You spend
Hmm.
time with your patient. You get to know your patients. So yeah, we need to, man, nurses, we do a lot, and we're just amazing. Honestly, I feel so honored. I feel so privileged to be able to call myself a nurse.
You
So
know
yeah,
what? I have to say, you just said you feel so privileged to call yourself a nurse,
yeah.
and I am with you there. But what I wanted to note is that you have recognized that so early in your career, what a
Oh
privilege it
yeah, yeah,
is.
definitely.
It takes some of us a little bit longer. We get bogged down
Yeah,
and keep our head down and try to keep up and get the work done and put all this
yeah,
thing in. And sometimes it takes us a while to realize what a privilege it is, what
yeah,
an awesome profession we have chosen.
yeah.
And I am
Honestly.
so impressed that you have recognized that so very early in your career. Kudos to you. Kudos to
Thank
you.
you.
All right. So now then, what advice then do you think, knowing all of this,
Mm,
your experience with the healthcare system came at great cost to start with?
mm,
And it kind of merged and morphed into something that you are so passionate about.
yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to someone who wants to be a nurse?
Nursing is not just a job. I know it may sound cliche, but it's a calling. It has to be something you want to do. You can't just do it because of the money or because you think it's a secure job. Nursing is a calling because there are going to be those days where you're going to be stressed, you're going to be under pressure, you're going to make so many sacrifices. But if you know that, you became a nurse because you feel like it's your calling, then it kind of makes it slightly easier if you get what I mean.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's the only advice I would say. And just know why you're going into nursing and making sure that your why is to do with people, not to do with the money or to do with the title. That is to do with the people. Because you're meeting people at the most vulnerable. So you have to be passionate about what you do. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And you said not to do with the money and the title.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
mean,
mean a
yes,
thing. No one.
I mean, the money is there in certain countries, but you have to love what you do. You have to love people. You have
Hmm.
to,
Hmm. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, when would you say you're talking about having to love people,
mm,
um, and how much it takes out of you? What
mm.
then would you say is one essential thing about a nurse that's going to keep you going? One essential quality that you think every nurse should have, in your opinion?
Oh, oh my.
If you could tell me that in one word, just pick a word.
I'd like to say resilience, but
Hmm.
then sometimes resilience can, when I mean resilience, I don't mean resilience in the way where you are self-sabotaging, where you're forgetting yourself, but just
Hmm.
being resilient in terms of being able to handle certain situations and be able to be self-aware. Yeah, and also knowing when to say, actually, this is too much, let me step back. But to be a nurse, you have to be resilient. And it doesn't matter what field you're in, resilience is needed. Also making sure that you're taking care of yourself at the center.
Okay, so you just segued into my very next question, which was going to be, what does self-care mean to you? And what do you do for self-care to care for you?
Okay. Well, for me, as I've got older, self-care means putting me first, always, always. And even sometimes that's even included when it comes to my children. And that doesn't mean that I don't care for them. And that doesn't mean that I neglect them or I neglect the people around me. It's understanding the fact that if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of others. I can't do anything if if my cup is empty. I'm no use to anyone and no use to myself. And I came to that realization when I experienced burnt out. Burnt out was it. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And that's when I realized actually, you know what, you need to put yourself first. It's so, so important. So when I started my degree, I started going, doing solo traveling, which I absolutely love. And again, it's all to do with me loving people, getting to know, understanding people's cultures. I absolutely love it. So that's one thing that I do for myself. And also one thing I do is boundaries, putting boundaries in place, learning when to say no. So yeah, so I'll definitely say that those are the kind of things, I do. And I also like to go for a walk, early in the morning, go for a nice walk, clear my mind and things like that. But I think it's about being intentional. You have to be intentional. And even if it's
Yes.
one thing, and also one thing also, it may sound bizarre, but I'm going to skincare now, which I absolutely love. Even my kids, they're like, Mom, what is with you and your skincare? But I just love it because you know why? It's that 10 minutes in the morning where I have to be intentionally calm. I'm focusing on myself for that precise moment. I can't be doing anything else and doing it at the same time. So that's something that, yeah, that I'm really enjoying at the moment. So yeah, but it's crucial, it's important. As nurses, we are natural empaths. We always want to give, 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 but you can't keep on giving. You have to give. I say give more to yourself than you give to
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
It's so, so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to learn to give to
Yes.
ourselves. And I
Yes, we
think,
do.
not for nothing, I think that that's one area in which our education is lacking.
Yeah.
Because as you said, we're natural empaths, so it's
Yeah.
natural for us. But
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, I really believe that as part of our education, early
Yeah.
on, it needs
Yes.
to be pointed out, it needs to be stressed that
Yeah.
we are part of the people that we need to give to.
Yeah.
We
100%.
need to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
the ones to take care of us.
Amazing.
Aghogho, thank you so much for this conversation. Any last words
No,
you'd like to
thank
leave us with?
you. Sorry?
Any last words you'd like to leave us with?
I think I want to say to the person who wants to become a nurse but thinks they're not able to become a nurse, because that was actually me one day.
Mhm.
And I just want to say to you that you can become a nurse if you want to become a nurse. And it's honestly, it's an amazing, amazing, amazing privilege to be a nurse. I get so excited. I always get so excited that people, even when I was doing my degree, my friends would say, they felt like we weren't even on the same course because I'm always so excited, so bubbly. But I just love people. So if you want to become a nurse, go and do it. Go and do it. Yeah.
Alrighty then. Thank you for that. On those words, we'll take it
Thank
from you
you.
and Nike. Just go and do it.
Yes, just do it.
Thank you so very much for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And
thank
just to
you.
remind everyone that contact information for Aghogho will be in the description box. You'll be able to
Thank
find her.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.